Hi, wrestling fans, and good evening. Merry Christmas. Welcome to this week's edition of AIWF Ringside Wrestling. I am Mad Matt Carter, along with Commissioner Rick Diesel, Hall of Famer Brian Danzig, and I believe I heard Pagan in the background as well. So she's on the panel, although you can't see her now.
Hello.
She's here. And
I'll spin that computer around there shortly.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started here. Let me get the slideshow going up here, and let's find it. Nope, not that one. This one. There we go. All right, can you guys see the slideshow?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so we are in business. Welcome to Ringside Wrestling for Christmas, December 25th, 2022. And yep, there's the scene from last week. But yeah, to be quite honest, wrestling fans, we come to you with heavy hearts this year. As just a couple of days ago, the North Carolina wrestling community lost a very valuable asset in one Scrapyard Dog. Passed away unexpectedly, but gentlemen, Scrap had touched all of our lives in different ways. I said in a Facebook post yesterday that I think Scrap's enduring legacy, I mean, he had a lot of great matches and a lot of really memorable violent matches. As a matter of fact, Scrapyard Dog's violent side is going to stay with Ty Tyson until the day he dies, because he's got a big scar on his head from him.
Yeah, he's scarred for life.
Yeah, so but I think the Scrapyard Dog's biggest influence was what you see in these photos right here, his mentoring of young men. And I don't know, and some women, I guess. There's a young lady in that second picture there on the right of the screen. But he had mentored a lot of young folks in the wrestling business. And I would just like to go around the room and ask for your thoughts and comments on one Scrapyard Dog. Rick Diesel, I'll start with you. You probably knew him best of all of us.
Well, I have known Scrap for a long time, and you're right, man. He liked mentoring. He liked teaching the young kids. He liked taking people under his wing. He actually trained Ty Tyson. He trained Tommy Pinarelli. And there's a lot of lives in the North Carolina wrestling scene that in one way or another, the Scrapyard Dog touched. And behind the scenes, as violent as he could be in the ring, behind the scenes, he was a big teddy bear. But he was very old school, and he was he would tell you what he thought. He would tell you what he thought of your match. But at the same time, he would make you think about how to make yourself better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we all lost a close friend. The wrestling community and the indie scene in North Carolina lost a great talent and a hero, and it's a sad day. It'll be remembered for a long time as a sad day. And I know Firestar Pro Wrestling is doing something, I think, next Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's open to the public, but they are going to do something next Friday night, I think, to honor him. So if it's open to the public, go find out about Firestar and go check them out. And you know, next Saturday, we'll certainly do something for him at the Mid-Atlantic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Brian Danzig?
I only actually met Scrapyard once in the back once I came back and started commentating, but even just that one meeting, he left a very big impression on me. Just as he was a very nice, down-to-earth guy. Had a lot of wrestling knowledge, and I gained a lot of respect just in that one sit-down conversation with him and Rick and some of the other guys, just talking. But then also just in the back, even before he passed away, hearing people talk about him, even when he wasn't there, and the amount of respect that all the guys back there had for him. Mm-hmm. And you could really tell that that there was a reason that he was respected, and it really shone through both from his reputation, from the other guys, and from the one short meeting that I had with him that night.
Mhm. Yeah, I first saw Scrapyard Dog myself down in Ashboro at a show, probably 08, 09, somewhere around that range. And it was like, wow, this dude's really good. And then he started coming to the Mid-Atlantic, right? He was a part of the Mid-Atlantic. He feuded with TR Superstar along about the time I came back in 2014. And one of the things I mentioned in my comments on social yesterday was, as a play-by-play guy, if he found out that I was going to call one of his matches, he would give me talking points, like just little bullet points to mention during the match. And it made it so much easier.
It does. It really does.
And so, if I wasn't familiar with if he had like an opponent coming in that I wasn't familiar about the background, his background with, I could ask him. I'd be like, okay, so why are you two mad at each other? Well, this all started, and he would go back. He would give me the entire history. Like if they had been working in multiple promotions, he would tell me, the entire history. So, I mean, talk about going out in front of the microphone with plenty of ammunition. Scrapyard Dog would do that, and it was a big help to me. But I want to tell a funny story about Scrap. Is I had been interacting with him for maybe a year and a half. Hey Scrap, how you doing today? Good, Matt. How are you? Shake hands, all that kind of stuff. And I walked up to him one night when he was just visiting, wasn't wrestling on the card, and he goes, and he was just staring a hole through me, and it was kind of eerie, and I was like, oh God, what have I done? And so I figured, you know what? It ain't gonna do me any good to delay this. If I've got an ass whipping coming, I might as well go ahead and get it over with. And so I walked up to him and was like, Scrap, how's it going? You doing all right, buddy? I could tell by the way he was looking at me if something was wrong. And he goes, hey man, why didn't you book me on such and such show back last month or whatever like it? And I said, huh? What are you talking about? I said, I hadn't booked a show since 1998 up there at the Twin Ridge Marina in Virginia. What are you talking about? And he goes, well, aren't you Matt Classic? Like, oh man, I'm Matt Carter. I was like, I got nothing to do. I know Matt Classic, but that's the extent of it. And he was like, oh, okay. And so talk about, somebody saying something to, humble you back down real quick. that was Scrap. So aren't you Matt Classic? I'll never forget that. So
That's Scrap.
yeah,
God bless him. He will be missed. That's
He
for
will.
sure.
he will be.
Yeah.
He will be, but he touched a lot of lives. So my thing
More
is,
than a lot of people realize. I mean, to be honest with you, more than I realized, honestly, because I knew that he knew a lot of people. But I mean, when the news broke that he had passed, it was like my news feed on my Facebook just exploded. It was almost like, somebody from WWE or AEW had passed away. That's how many people knew him at least around North Carolina. I mean, everybody was talking about Scrapyard Dog.
Mhm. Yeah,
So he certainly touched all corners of the area for sure.
yeah, he is going to be missed. Something terrible, that's for sure. But our thoughts and our prayers are with his family, and we just wish him all the best. And I really am at a loss for words. There's nothing more I can really say at this point. So, any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we move on to get back to our regular show?
Yeah, Matt, you're right. I mean, there's nothing you can really say. All you can do is give your condolences and let the family know how much that the person that they lost touched your life. Of course, didn't touch your life as much as theirs, but it does help when you hear, that a loved one that you've lost, how much they, how much they meant to other people. It really does help.
Mhm.
So that's really all you can do, but it does, it doesn't, it's not going to make everything better, of course, but it does help a little bit.
Absolutely. All right. Our best wishes with family of Scrapyard Dog, and Scrap, wherever you are, if you can hear me. It was a privilege to know you. And thank you for the positive influence you've been on my life. So let's go ahead and get moving on with the regular show and everything. As we tell you every week, you can advertise with us for really cheap, $10 a month. I heard Jeff Jarrett saying a podcast commercial today that ad-free shows was the best value in wrestling. I would tend to disagree. I would think that's advertising with us for $10 a month is the best value in wrestling. So there we go. That's just my opinion. But yeah, $10 a month monthly for a 30-second to 1 minute read, or we can do a video commercial for you for $30 a month. We got weekly rates as well. But this show streams live on Facebook. It's also archived on YouTube, and it's on all your favorite podcast platforms. Roku, there's one episode on Roku, but you can hear us just about anywhere you get your favorite podcast. And visit our AIWF Ringside Wrestling channel, because not only do we have the archives of the show there, we've got tons of matches. We just added 5 more last night that are already getting some attention. That Benny Conley Mickey Fault match is almost up to 500 views in less than a day, and that's pacing at like Nurse Micah and Clara numbers right there. I mean, it's incredible. And we've got a match with Ivan Koloff on there, so you can see lots of new and classic action from the AIWF over the years on the AIWF Ringside Wrestling channel. Be sure you give us a like, subscribe, ring the bell. It really helps us out a whole lot. And of course, now we are on Instagram as well. AIWF Mid-Atlantic Wrestling and Diesel 247. That's AIWF Mid-Atlantic Wrestling and Diesel 247. So let's see here. Let me get a little bit in the Christmas spirit now. Here, hang on.
You do that, man. I'm sharing the show.
Very nice.
Yep, there we go. I bought these lights just for this show. And I did the Christmas Eve preview with this on there. And if you watch it on YouTube, if you notice that I'm kind of looking at the screen with like a shit-eating grin, it's because I'm just like marveling at how utterly ridiculous I look. Absolutely fantastic. How was everybody's Christmas? Did you get plenty to eat? Was Santa Claus good to you?
Oh yeah, way too much.
Yeah.
I'm an excellent cook, even though people probably wouldn't believe that. But
Yes, she is.
Yeah. What did you guys have, if you don't mind me asking?
We had ham, broccoli casserole,
Not bad.
sweet potato casserole,
corn casserole,
and one more. What was
green bean casserole.
green bean casserole. Yes.
Not bad. It
Sounds to me like y'all was on a casserole.
We
No,
were.
Waka waka waka.
See what I did there?
Yeah. That's
This
nice.
thing on.
Is this thing
I'll
on?
be here all week.
Don't forget to tip your waitresses. So yeah, Jake and I had a nice Christmas dinner. We had ham, mixed vegetables, potatoes and gravy, and we're doing a small one for Christmas because we got the in-laws coming in tomorrow, and we're gonna have our big meal on New Year's, big holiday meal, and we're gonna have ham and turkey and all that kind of stuff. Not because we're good cooks, but because we found the website for honey baked ham, and turns out they'll ship a whole dinner to you if you don't have time to cook. So how about you, Rick?
I know it. I've done that for years, but let me tell you something, man. I did that for years. I mean, it's the first year I hadn't got a honey baked ham in a long time. But I'll tell you why. At Thanksgiving, we got a ham from Sam's Club, Sam's Ham. But anyway, and it was just as good.
Really?
And like a tenth of the price. you know what I'm saying? A fifth of the price.
Yeah.
But and it was real. So we got another one for this, and it was. I mean, yeah, it's an awesome ham.
I'll keep that in mind for next year. Yeah, I remember when I was your little kid playing Nintendo or whatever. Did you ever play till you got the numb thumb? You know, you just play games until your thumbs got numb. Well, that happened to me today. I'm not much of a gamer, but Santa Claus brought me this, and I'm telling you what.
Nice.
Yeah, for those of you who can't see, it's a new Ninja Turtles game called Shredder's Revenge. Well, it's not that new. It's been out on other platforms, but it's new to the PS4. And my wife and I sit there and probably played that thing for 3 hours this afternoon. We cannot get past the final boss. So it's a little bit frustrating. We'll get another crack at it. My niece and nephew get here. They're bringing their PS4 controllers. So we're going to try to attack it with 4 people next time.
Yeah, well, until you've said, now, man, I want you to watch Brian's face when I say this.
I already know what you're going to say.
Here you sit for 2 to 3 days playing The Legend of Zelda and passing off, taking shifts while one sleeps, another one plays because you rented the whole thing for the weekend and you have a bucket of Hardee's chicken set up. You ain't played no video games, buddy. But there's people in this room that knows.
Mm-hmm.
That's some hardcore gaming right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. I'm talking days, man. I mean, you're just like, you look around, you'll be doing your shit, and look around, everybody be like passed out asleep.
I remember one of those sessions, you had been playing for hours that morning, and Don Hopkins walked by the Nintendo, bumped into it. You hadn't saved the whole time you were playing. You bumped into it, and it just completely wiped out all that you had done. You were just staring at the screen, and we were trying not to laugh because it was, we knew you had done all that work, and it just got completely wiped out.
Yeah,
poor Don. He felt awful about it, but what could you do?
You couldn't do nothing because like if you didn't save it ever so often, a little 8-bit game, and you're sitting here like for hours till your eyes are red and your face is locked into this weird position.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken grease running down your neck. God, I miss his days.
I didn't even realize that you could I didn't remember in the 8-bit era, so you could save on Zelda. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, there were some games you couldn't save and some you could. Yeah, that was one that you could save.
But I tell you what, man, we got where we can beat that thing. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
To be honest with you, I done what I could, but the other guys like Brian and remember Randall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now those guys could play some freaking Zelda, boy. I mean, it's just like I'd be sitting there going, what? And all I did was basically just hold, I'd hold a thing for a few hours and push buttons while they rested.
Yeah.
But they were the stars, boy, not me. I was third string. I'd come in just, somebody else could rest.
Yeah. Oh Lord. It's like that guy that comes in the Rolex 24, just to get them through those wee hours of the morning, while the other 2 drivers rest. So did you guys, I assume you guys beat the game.
If I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I swear I think Randall beat it in an afternoon one time.
Really?
Yeah,
I think he did so. He got to where he knew where everything was. And he would just go through it, just like this.
Yeah.
And I think he beat it in like an afternoon one time.
Wow, that's crazy. I never was able to beat Zelda. I would get so frustrated at a certain point in the game and just, never did beat it. But yeah, it seems like to me that video games, like back then, Nintendo, anything that they produced was usually pretty good. Mario, Zelda, stuff like that. But there was a lot of crap for the Nintendo Entertainment System. If you're listening in Southeast Asia or that part of the world, it was the family computer. Nintendo Famicom is what a lot of people call it, but we called it the Nintendo Entertainment System here in the US. And there was a lot of crappy games out there that were just next to impossible to beat. Do you guys remember those? I remember one comes to mind. The original Ninja Turtles game was a nightmare for the NES.
Mm-hmm.
I had a game called The Adventures of Bayou Billy that had excellent graphics, but it was I beat it one time and never played it again. I was just like, I got through that shit. God, it was just incredibly difficult. Any other video games that come to mind over the years that you've just hated because they've been so hard?
Friday the 13th on the NES.
Oh God, yes. Oh my.
When that head would float around, you couldn't beat it.
No.
So
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Oh, Siri's listening.
That's
That was before your
Y'all
time,
such
Siri.
youngins. See,
We're getting ready to go back to Atari, aren't we?
I remember when I was a kid, and one kid in the neighborhood had an Atari.
Yeah.
And we used to all go to his house after school and play Asteroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the only kid in the neighborhood that had it.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody went to his house and played Asteroids. And God, what was that other one? Where you shot the spaceships? I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, Space Invaders. Space Invaders and Asteroids. That's what we did in the afternoons.
I was thinking Missile Command. Yeah, now I do remember in the early 80s, there was one kid on my street that had the Atari, and boy, that was like,
Yeah, he was a god, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was actually girls, but yeah, they were. I mean, 5 or 6 year old man, you got an Atari. I mean,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you played it like this.
yeah, the joystick.
Yeah.
That's it, man. The joystick.
Yeah,
And you'd think a bunch of little teenage boys, joystick ain't nothing to them. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Them things are hard.
yeah.
Well,
Oh, mercy. Yes, fun times. Let's see. Oh, so look, this is a wrestling show. I mean, I'm down to talk about, but it's a special Christmas show, and we already talked about we're going to be doing some reminiscing tonight. So, I mean, come on, guys. This is what you get. But somebody that did have business on his mind today was Jack. I don't know if you guys have run across this video on social media yet, but it posted looks like around lunchtime. And to say this, at the very least, Jack is not feeling the Christmas spirit whatsoever. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I know, right? I couldn't have saw that coming. But anyway, I thought it'd be interesting for us to take a look and listen as we move towards season's beatings, which, as a matter of fact, is coming up this Saturday night, New Year's Eve in Mount Airy, special bell time, 5:00. And Jack has got some words for just about everybody. So let me go ahead and see if I can get that pulled up here. And, oh yeah, I got to share the sound.
While you're doing that, right now they're talking about something called Swords and Serpents and Duck Hunt. And
of course, the worst part of Duck Hunt was the dog laughing at you when you missed.
Yeah.
You just wanted to shoot him and you couldn't.
No kidding. But and if you played it in the arcade, there was a bonus stage where the dog would jump up in front of you while you were trying to shoot the ducks. And if you shot the dog, that would be an end to the stage, and the dog would actually, his face would turn black. He'd fall down if you accidentally shot him. And then he would come into the screen with a cane and a cast on one leg. It looked like it had been blown away. And most people were like you said, Brian, they hated the dog from the regular stage because he would laugh at you. And so A lot of times people didn't even try to play the bonus stage. They just wanted to shoot the
They just
dog.
shoot the dog.
finally get some revenge.
Mhm.
All right, let's take a look at these comments from earlier today from one Jack, the king of mixed martial arts.
I know what's going to happen today. We're going to get post after post after post with Merry Christmas and all this little happy bull crap because everybody on the internet seems to forget who they are when it comes to Christmas time. All these bad guys are going to say, Merry Christmas. I'm going to be honest with you. Everybody that follows me, everybody that's friends with me, I don't care about you. I care about me. I don't care about this stupid holiday. And this all boils down to you. Damian Wayne. You're going to sit there and you're going to act like I talk too much and I talk my mouth all the time. But guess what? I make promo videos and I post them on the internet to sell tickets. I don't get in other people's comment sections, which does nothing for anyone. You're the one that talks too much. You lost the World Heavyweight Championship. March the 4th should have been for the World Championship, but your bummed hell lost. So now I have to be in a #1 contenders match with you because I called you out. So what I'm going to do, because I'm pissed. I am pissed off because you can't keep your crap together because I should be March the 4th World's Champion. But March the 4th, I'm going to be the #1 contender for the World's Heavyweight Championship when I beat you in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, some strong words.
Well,
He's
it's
furious.
kind of like when I would go up to neighbor's house and play asteroids. I got in over my head a lot of times, and I didn't know that I'd bit off a little bit more than I could chew. I'm not sure that Jack wants to be using that kind of language to Damian Wayne.
Mm-hmm. And
But hey,
Yeah, I mean but then again, that's always been his strategy. Talk down to your opponent, no matter how much bigger they are, no matter how much more experience they have, talk down to them like I'm the greatest, you're nothing, and I'm going to beat you. And sometimes it works. Is it going to work on a experienced world traveled veteran like Damian Wayne? Probably not, but then who knows, maybe it'll throw him off his game. He's not used, he's used to getting respect from from even his opponents.
yeah.
But Jack is not giving that to him. Who knows, he may get under his skin and beat him. I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
Well, I mean, I guess if there's anybody who could bring the world title back to the Mid-Atlantic area, maybe it's Jack. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Right. That's my thing is, with all the problems Jack has caused and all the turmoil and all the things that him and the Fighters Club have done. I mean, I'm thinking, he has the chance to bring the world title back to the Mid-Atlantic area, and I'm kind of rooting for him. I mean, I want that to happen.
Yeah, that's
as
me.
bad as all these things he's done, I want the world title back in the Mid-Atlantic area, and I think he could do it.
Well, it's like in college basketball. No matter how much Carolina hates Duke or Duke hates Carolina, if they're in that championship game, you kind of secretly pulling for them, to say, I'd love for him to bring that championship back to the ACC. So that's what we're looking at here. I mean,
it is.
Ever how you feel about Jack, you almost, what I'm saying. And I know this is just for the #1 contender, but if he can beat Damian Wayne, he gets a shot. So he would be the next in line for that title shot. So
right. And
we have a chance.
Yeah,
we
and
maybe have a chance to get the world title back here.
Also, if he can beat the man who just up until recently held that title for such a long time, that just goes once again if he can beat Damian Wayne, then there's a good chance he can beat the guy who beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Just one
and
step
to be
closer.
honest with you, nobody has held that title longer than Damian Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
or more often. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, he's
what's
had it 3 times, right?
3 times, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing the world title come back to the Mid-Atlantic. Not at all. I agree with you guys there.
And therein lies our issue,
Mhm.
I guess you could say.
I will give one critique to that promo. It was a great promo, great intensity. However, if you're going to talk about how you don't care about Christmas, maybe pick another background besides a picture.
Yes.
Santa
Yeah, it did
on
have
a Christmas tree. I mean, I'm sure that's not his picture.
no.
However, like I said, just choose a plain background. Put a sheet over the picture of Santa Claus. Other than that, no notes.
I noticed that too. And I didn't want to say anything, but I was just like, when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, you really hate Christmas. All right. Look at that big picture behind you. Yeah. But yes, that was funny. All right. So anyway, like this is supposed to be like a Christmas memory show. So we'll talk more about seasons meetings coming up. But like when you think about like over the years, and Brian, you told us last week that you had a story that you'd been saving for us. You didn't know if he was going to tell it, but you thought that you were ready to tell it. Are you ready to tell it tonight?
I am, and really, it's just more that I keep meaning to tell it, and then it just kind of slips my mind,
Mhm.
and I just don't get the opportunity. But it's a story from when I had first started wrestling. It wasn't at an AIWF show, but there were several AIWF guys in the back when it happened. Rick had gotten some of us booked on this little bar show in Greensboro, like during the week, and we were just in the back hanging out, and it was me, Rick, Chris Wyndham, and Sebastian Kane, and we're just hanging out in the back, and then the guys go out for their match, and then a few minutes later the dressing room door comes flying open, and I hear and I'm like, what is going on? What? And then I hear the guy says, oh, he stiffed me. He
Oh my
busted
God.
my nose. And and I'm like, what? He got his nose busted in the match, and he started crying and left the match. For real.
Are
And
you
I
for real?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm just in shock, and I'm like trying to, and what was even weirder is like all the other guys in the back are like surrounding me. Like, oh man, are you okay? Are you all right? Oh no. And then I turn and look at Rick and Chris and Kane, and they're all doing the same thing I'm doing, looking down and trying not to bust
remember
out
that
laughing
now.
at this guy. Because we're like, really? It's like, how could you call yourself a professional wrestler and you can't take a busted nose? I mean,
Is this guy still in business? I hope not.
I hope not either. I don't, like I said, it was a really small show, and I'd never heard of the guy and hadn't heard of him since.
Mhm.
But like, I mean, we were just in shock and trying not to start just bust out laughing at this guy. But we were just we were shocked, because I mean we were told if you get hurt, you keep going. If you get hurt bad enough, you finish the match, and then go from there.
Mhm.
But like, I mean, Reagan she in a match with the Scorpion
Oh,
got her
God.
shoulder dislocated.
Dislocated.
She finishes the match with her arm dangling at her side. she finishes the match, and then in the back, Don Carson takes and pops her shoulder back into socket. And it's like, this
Let me
guy,
fix this for you.
yeah, because I mean, and I'm not one of these guys can't cry people. I mean, there's a time and place for it, but in a professional wrestling ring during a professional wrestling match, that's not one of them.
No, it's like there's no crying in baseball. Well, certainly,
exactly, no crying in baseball, no crying in pro wrestling.
I would accept a guy crying in baseball before I would crying in wrestling. I mean, come on.
yeah. Do you remember this guy's name? Because I would love to.
I do not remember his name.
Cause that was that little place where it's like the dressing room's almost like unfinished room.
Yeah.
It's like it's under construction or something. I remember that.
Right. Yeah. It was some little bar.
Yeah.
Because we had done a few shows with them, because like I said, they were during the week. We weren't doing anything, and like I said, Ben and I were really green at the time, so we were just trying to get some in-ring experience. But yeah, we were just like,
he's deaf me.
Yeah, because I was like, and like he was crying, so like I was like, did this guy just find out his mom died? Like, did his wife leave him in the middle of this match? Like, no, he got his nose busted.
Wow.
And it wasn't even broken. It wasn't even bleeding that bad.
You got a bloody nose. What do you think was going to happen?
But yeah, that really left an impression on me. I had never seen anything like it. Well, and I've never seen anything like it since.
Just think if that guy would have showed up, if it had been, that was probably the early 90s, right, Brian? So
yeah, it was like 93, 94, because I started training in 92, and I think I was done training in 93. So yeah, it's probably late 93, early 94.
Wonder what would have happened if that had been 20 years earlier and he would have showed up to a Jim Crockett Promotions open tryout being held by Gene and Ole Anderson. He'd have done a lot more than cry.
Yes, he would have. Considering, speaking of which, speaking of old Crockett, that reminds me of a story Wahoo told us. One night we were hanging out at after a show in Ashboro. We were hanging out at Andre's bar with Ivan and Wahoo and Frenchie.
Yeah,
it was Frenchie was the one that ran the bar.
Frenchie Martin.
On Andre's ranch. And Wahoo was telling us about the when they had taken Ricky Steamboat's face and rubbed it into the concrete, and he was like, now you guys, you need to really rub it in there, because we need it to look good. We need there to be a lot of scratches. And they did it. They rubbed his face in, and he said he looked and was like, no, it doesn't look bad enough. He went and got some sandpaper, and he's like, hold him down. They held Ricky Steamboat down. Wahoo took sandpaper and rubbed it across his face until it looked bad enough. So yeah, I think the guys who did that, if somebody came to the back and started crying because of a busted nose, yeah, I think they might have had the same reaction, but not for any particular reason. Just
that was an amazing night at Andre's place.
It was, yeah.
Oh wow, I would have loved to have been there.
Yeah, we heard a lot of stories from them.
I heard that story too, but not directly from Wahoo, and I think it might have been Steamboat. And Steamboat's made the comment like, "Well, you remember Wahoo said he got the boys to hold him down." Like Steamboat was willing to do that, but Wahoo knew that if he took sandpaper to his face, that he was going to try to get away, and so they did that not because Steamboat resisted, but it was going to hurt him so bad that he was going to try to get up regardless.
Right? Yeah, it was going to be instinctual. Yeah, it's just like strapping somebody down for some to saw their leg off. You're going to have to, whether they're willing to do it or not, they have to strap them down so they don't.
Don't cut scene from Gone with the Wind. Oh my God. You don't even see it and it's still gruesome. Oh Lord. Okay. So I just got a photo of the new world heavyweight champion. What is this guy's name? Rick Diesel? Are we?
Let me look.
See here.
I knew it, and then we got to talking, and there it happened.
Here he
Give me
is.
just a second.
Ooh, that's a big boy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it took a hell of a man to beat Damian Wayne.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is. And I widened that out a little bit so you can see it better, but no, he is a big boy. They got that Rick Steiner like physique, looks like he could just run over you.
Jackson Slade.
Jackson Slade. So the new AIWF World Heavyweight Champion is now Jackson Slade. You're looking at him on the screen right there. And if this was taken right after the match, which I assume
he
it
won
was.
it in Panama City, Florida.
Oh, wow. Okay. And it looks like it was a bloody affair.
Yes.
Because if he looks like that before he goes to the ring, he probably shouldn't be wrestling. But congratulations, Jackson Slade, the new AIWF World Heavyweight Champion. Will he be able to hold on to it? The last guy that beat Damian Wayne for the world title held on to it for about a week, and that was that. So it'll be interesting to see if he can hold on to it. So
I think it was in and I'm looking. I'm pretty sure it was in a cage.
Oh wow.
Yes, it was in a cage.
Well, so congratulations, Jackson. Maybe we get to see him up here. If Jack runs his mouth enough, who knows? But anyway, we're going to see what happens with that.
Well, whoever's the number one contender, that's the man they got to deal with.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to have to go searching around YouTube and whatnot and see if I can find any footage of that. But I'm not going to be able to do it tonight. Speaking of footage and funny things, did you see it? I don't know if you guys have seen the clip. It's going around on the internet this week. If it's back in like 1988, Crockett Wrestling, and there's a match with Kevin Sullivan and Rick Steiner against Chris Champion and some other guy. And Chris Champion gives Rick Steiner the crane kick from the Karate Kid. Right. I mean, he goes up, does the whole 9 yards. He gives him the crane kick right under his chin. Rick Steiner takes a bump for it. When Chris Champion goes to pick him up to shoot him into the ropes, Steiner reverses it. And I mean, reverses it with force and just absolutely mows him down with a left-handed Steiner line. I mean, dude, if it didn't knock teeth out, it knocked them loose. It was one of the hardest things I've ever seen. They got it set up to play on a loop of about 4 seconds, where you see the crime committed and then you see the punishment dealt out. What the reason was.
Like an episode of Law and Order.
Yeah, it only took about 4 seconds. So it was awesome. If you find it on Twitter, oh my goodness, I just say it's bears repeating. I would show it on here, but I'm always scared of getting popped for copyright anymore. Our YouTube channel's doing so well. Let me go ahead and do some ads real quick and tell you about Premier Auto Detailing. We always say they can make that jalopy look just like it rolled off the showroom floor. They do individual detail jobs for individual customers, but if you are the owner or proprietor of a car lot and need a fleet service type deal done, they can do that as well. You just need to call them at 336-883-5722. Again, for those of you listening, I'll read you the number one more time, even though that Progressive commercial says I shouldn't. 336-883-5722 for Premier Auto Detailing. Be sure and tell them that you heard about them on AIWF Ringside Wrestling. That's Premier Auto Detailing, 883-5722. Lots of experience with that company in car cleaning over the years. So definitely a place you want to look, especially if you need a car cleaned up down to all the deep nooks and crannies. They can take care of that for you. Our friends at Premier Auto Detailing. Tees Creations is a custom apparel online store. They also have a rolling stock that they take out with them. Usually you can find them wherever you see Tees Treats. They do custom made t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. They even do not koozies. I always struggle with the tumblers every week. Every week I do this. But Tees Creations, their holiday creation, which we're at Christmas now. So, but you can get going. You can get ready for next year. If you still would like some of these holiday designs, you can visit them at teescreations22.com. Again, teescreations22.com, or you can visit them over on Facebook at facebook.com/Tees Creations. That's Tees Creations. Just search for it on Facebook. But the best way to reach out, teescreations22.com. And if you if you want a custom job, or you just want something that's listed on the website, they do it all. So
Valentine's right around the corner.
That's right. Yep.
I will tell you, her stuff lasted me. I wore my Christmas shirt to every Christmas outing that we've done, and it looked perfect every time. Held up beautifully.
Awesome.
There you go.
There's a happy customer here.
Yeah, it's not like the experience I had recently with buying a t-shirt online, and the damn print started coming off the minute I took it out of the bag. So yeah, quality is important, and there's so many t-shirt vendors on there. Some are better than others. It's good to hear that Tees Creations is and I expected nothing less, but it's good to hear an actual endorsement that their gear is high quality, and you're going to get your money's worth. So
OCD can be a good thing.
Yep. And value for $1, which is big to me, because my wife has one of their shirts too, and it's a great sweatshirt. So absolutely visit Tees Creations, folks. teescreations22.com. All right, back to more story time. Has anybody got something reminisce they would like to share with us?
Well, I don't know how many of y'all, and I've told this story several times. You guys probably heard it, but I don't know how many people watching has. My Bradshaw, West Virginia story. I got several.
All right, so set the stage, Rick Diesel. Bradshaw is in southern West Virginia. It's back in like old coal mining country, right?
Yes, it's in the hills.
Not many people back here.
No. I remember when we used to go up there, we'd see people go by on four-wheelers, and we'd be like, ain't that illegal? They didn't care. West Virginia. So, I don't know I think Brian was with us the time that we rode in on the bus. We rode the bus up there with the ring, and was having a parade or something downtown. So we had to take a back street, so we went around behind the buildings to get in. And there was this girl, I don't know how old she was, not very, but there was this cop like leaning up against.
I was there for that.
Yeah.
You remember her?
Yes.
And he was talking to her as behind the buildings leaning up. I mean, there was some weird conversation going on between that officer and that minor.
Yeah, there definitely was something weird going on.
They also gave rides to people in their cop cars.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. I didn't partake. Well, I did ride in the cop car, but not for that.
No, we did for the show, but
yes,
but there were also joy rides in those cop cars.
Yes, there was some extracurricular backseat officer car things going on. No date and time, just in case anybody wants to go back. I mean, no.
Right.
We're not gonna date this. It was a long time ago, but stuff happened.
But yeah, that did happen.
I can't remember. I don't know if I think you was out there, Brian, when the TVA come out and chased us out of the building.
Is this when I accidentally kicked Don in the face? And
it might have been.
Lord,
Never heard the end of
I
it.
never heard the end of that. Ever.
Well, I don't remember what happened, but all I remember is when we all powdered out of the ring, and all of us run in different directions, and I run out the back door.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I remember
Yeah, the back door and then.
There was no porch or steps. And if you've ever seen one of those cartoons where Wile E. Coyote runs off the cliff and he kind of hangs there for a second and then falls, I swear I did that.
Yeah.
But when I hit the ground, I landed on a trash can, a metal trash can. Luckily for me, because I mean, it hit me right in the chest. I just went boom. Luckily for me, the trash can was extremely rusted, so it collapsed underneath my weight. And I remember laying in the weeds and looking up into the sky. It was the middle of the night, and I seen the stars and the sun. All I could think about is they'll never find me here. And I'm going to die in West Virginia.
Back behind this old firehouse.
Behind this old firehouse. And the weeds was like this high, and you couldn't see me in them. And I knew I was either going to get bit by a rattlesnake or, I was paralyzed. It all went through my mind so fast. But then, I was like, okay, I can get up. So I got up, went back to the dressing room, but I'll never forget laying on my back when I rolled off that trash can.
I remember getting kicked. I remember getting kicked in the ribs. I remember getting kicked in the ribs by fans.
I think there were kids.
Yeah, I was selling TVA, I guess attacked, and I was selling, just right, on the ground, and kids coming up and kicking me in the ribs, while I'm laying there. And so I kicking real hard. So that place was special.
And I think
it was
The same thing happened to Terry Taylor in 1991 at Bassett High School at a WCW show. He was wrestling Beautiful Bobby, and they got over there on the sides where the bleachers were, on that concrete that's, slightly above the floor. And about a dozen kids just mobbed his poor ass and started kicking and stomping him and everything. And you could see he started to scramble like his life was on the line, man. When running back to Bobby. I'd rather take an ass whipping from you, Bobby, please.
Yeah.
I had a lot of experiences at that place. That's where Don Carson almost broke my nose with that newspaper box.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember me and him had that match, and it might have been a tag match. Me and Don was in the street, and they pulled a cop car across the street and turned the lights on and blocked traffic so we could fight down the street. And we ended up on somebody's porch, just beating the hell out of each other. And I remember looking up, there's people looking through the blinds, screaming out the window of their front porch, going, "Kick his ass! Kick his ass!"
Yeah, I'm sure that happens all the time there.
Somebody else
fighting
didn't
on
pay
the
no
front
attention.
porch again.
And Don hit me in the face with that box, and I think I can't remember if he dislocated. He didn't break my nose, maybe. I don't know. I remember going to the ambulance afterwards, and the medic looking at it, and he done something to it. But I can't remember about my nose because we got to talking about this ring rat that was up there that he told me to stay away from, because I remember his words almost to the T. He said, "We carry nothing in this ambulance that can get rid of what she'll give you."
I do not doubt that. The other thing I remember here I go. Oh, I unplugged this side. The other thing, wait, I unplugged back. Where'd it go? I
Turned the camera off.
We can hear
still
you.
hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Man, the other thing I remember is going to some store there, and you could buy milk in a glass from a gallon. They sold it by the cup. You could just buy it and order a cup just in the back. Me and Billy and Annie and whoever else there, we were just like, what the hell is going on here? What have I done?
It was somewhere up there that I remember we were going. It was either a Bradshaw or War, West Virginia show. We were riding up there, and it was raining that day. And I remember we passed a trailer on the side of the road, and they had a horse just tied to the side of the trailer that they lived in. I mean, this is like a single wide trailer. and there was just a horse tied to it, and it was just standing there in the rain with its head hanging down. And I told whoever was riding with me, I don't know if it was Billy or who it was, but I was like, man, that horse looked like it wished somebody would just come over there and shoot it now. You know, that has to be the saddest horse I've ever seen in my entire life. It just got it standing out there in the rain. You know, oh mercy. But
is it bad that I missed that?
Oh,
miss
I
going
missed it
there.
too.
personal preference, I guess, right?
We had so much
Just
fun
seeing
up
these,
there.
just see these weird things. Like, I know one time, this may be the time, this may have been the same time, but we were having that show, and these two French women were there from a French magazine doing a story on snake handlers in that town. And they just heard that something was going on and came and just was checking out the show.
Mhm.
And of course, they'd never really seen anything like what we were doing.
Most
It's like
people
they-
hadn't back then.
right, yeah, but especially somebody not to say there isn't pro wrestling in other countries. I don't know how prominent it is in France, but I'm sure two magazine reporters probably don't know a whole lot about it, especially the
No.
way we did it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard France mentioned as like a hotbed of professional wrestling. You know, it's
I
big,
haven't either, but
big-
you'd be
big in
surprised
Japan.
oh yeah.
big in the
It's
UK.
like they made Andre.
Germany.
It's like they gave us Andre the Giant and quit.
Yeah,
I know, right?
We can't beat that. So
right. Yeah, what can you
Yeah.
do?
It
that's
won't get any
right.
better than that. So when they just gave up, oh well, But I know like wrestling's big, of course, Japan. We all know that it's pretty big in
Mhm.
England. It's real big in Germany.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think where else. I don't know if it's all that big in Australia anymore. It hadn't really been big in Australia since the 70s, I don't think. You never really like see the major like WWE. They don't really go there much.
I think it's just because it's a long trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That it's this literally across the world, so it would be hard to get everything there.
I know
And-
the AIWF has affiliates in Australia.
Oh, do we? Okay, so they do have indie wrestling.
Well, we
there.
did
Okay.
at one time. I'm pretty sure we still do.
Oh, okay. Maybe if Matt Classic's watching, he can drop something in the chat. Let us know. It's hard to top them West Virginia stories because when we were hitting the road, it was always an experience. And I remember the first time we went to War, West Virginia, this huge crowd showed up. And
I didn't think it was that many people in that town.
yeah, me
Mhm.
either.
Yeah,
So we did the show and everything, and we were so excited to come back. And we went back and in the crowd, I mean, we still had a good crowd. They were real lively. Jackie Anderson, Lord, went out there and insulted them for about 10 minutes before the show started. And they were ready to start throwing liquor bottles, man. But I was told after the show, you know why you didn't draw as many this time? And I was like, why? And said, you came at the wrong time of the month. When you came the first time, you came right at the first of the month. People's checks had come in. And so we learned a lesson that anybody that promoted wrestling in that area of the country before learned a long time ago too. You had to pick and choose the dates that you ran very carefully.
Timing's everything up there.
Mhm.
yeah. And what's funny about talking about Jackie Anderson coming out and insulting the crowd and getting them so riled up, Bill Holiday was the one that arranged that show.
Mhm.
And before the event, he got in front of the locker room and was like, guys, you can go out there and talk junk to them and everything, work them just like normal, but don't talk about them being inbred. That's something that they really take offense to. Do not say that. Well, Jackie Anderson and Chains were late. They were running late. They did not get Bill's "do not call them inbred" speech.
'Cause that was-
They came after that speech, went out there and proceeded to call them a bunch of toothless inbreds. And Bill's just like,
And that set the pace for the rest of the night.
Yeah. That crowd, even though the crowd at the first show was bigger, the crowd at the second show was hotter. Because they were furious from the beginning. That was the night that Daniel did that thing to Neil Leathers we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, where he kind of like gave him the slingshot Hurricane Rana.
Slingshot Frankensteiner off top rope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had to slingshot it because Neil was, for some reason, was trying to hold on to the ropes and not go with it. So
Yeah.
Daniel had to grab the rope and pull him down.
It was funny, you know, Neil, I was watching that video back with Neil a few days after that, and Neil admitted to it. He was like, I don't know what happened to me, man. It's just I got scared all of a sudden, and I hooked the top rope, man. I didn't want to go, but Daniel got me on over, thank God. But he said, I landed right square on my head and neck, man, and I think I fucked my neck up. But to Neil's credit, he told me, I don't know if he ever said anything to Daniel, apologized for it or whatever, but he told me, he was like, man, that was my fault. I screwed that up.
Well,
You know?
I'm glad I don't remember Daniel mentioning it one way or the other, but yeah, I'm glad that he admitted to somebody.
Yeah.
I know, yeah,
that it was his fault.
the person least needed to hear that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, let me not go tell the guy that almost, you know, hurt. Let me just tell an announcer that might think to mention it to him the next time he sees him. You know, it's like I said, I was quite the marijuana enthusiast back in those days, and I'm sure I didn't even think twice about saying anything to Daniel about that. You know, I was always interested in something else Daniel was doing. Daniel would he took extra care with thumbtacks, which I thought was really interesting. If I don't know if I should, maybe I shouldn't tell.
Daniel was like a perfectionist in there too.
He was. Remember how he used to take and soak the thumbtacks in alcohol? Do you guys remember that? I remember thinking that was so meticulous. Like, yeah, we're gonna do this dangerous stunt, but by God, it's gonna be sanitary. You know, we're gonna make this as safe as possible, you know, even though it's gonna be dangerous. It was really something about Daniel. It just, his quirks like that was really cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just makes sense because, I mean, it's one thing to get, you know, getting stuck with a thumbtack is going to hurt, but you pull it out and you're going to be fine. It's going to be very painful, but it's not going to cause any long-term effects on you. But if you get an infection from that thumbtack, it is going to be long-term effects. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I will not do light bulb, the fluorescent light bulbs, because I mean, I'll work in glass all day long. I don't care about getting my skin cut, but in those fluorescent light bulbs is, you know, toxic materials.
Mercury, lots of it.
Yeah, there's mercury in them that can, if they get in your bloodstream, can really mess you up. And, you know, I don't know if there are guys who, you know, pop the top open and wash them out and put baby powder in them, or if they just risk it and have the dangerous mercury flying around. But yeah, either way, I'm just like, that's one of the things I'm just like, no, like I said, I'll get cut all day with some glass. I don't mind some cuts, but I'm not going to either inhale or get in my bloodstream a dangerous neurotoxin. So
if it's not you, thinking of fans.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that stuff goes everywhere. Especially
remember the Drive Brothers match in Wentworth several years ago? Remember the Drive Brothers? And they used light bulbs in that match. And they had a big it was probably a dozen or 15 full length, like you'd see in a warehouse or department store length light bulbs, and they smashed them over each other, and that dust went all over that building in Wentworth. Like, I mean, I actually turned around and ran for cover and covered my eyes because that big cloud of dust was just coming everywhere. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Nice kids, but I'm glad I never went to another show with them. I don't ever know what happened to them, but I'm sure their careers were short, if that's all.
Cancer?
Huh?
I'm just guessing cancer.
Oh wow, yeah, from the mercury, yeah. Did you know
an artery sliced open or something?
there is a religious cult, or at least there used to be in the Philippines, where one of the things that they do is eat mercury out of fluorescent light bulbs. And the leader of the cult has twitch, like, because of all the mercury poisoning. But I saw it on National Geographic. He steady just taking it and eating the mercury powder, right, putting it right on his tongue. I can't remember what kind of a superpower or blessing from God that would get you, but
It's just like the snake handling thing. It's the thing of proving that God will heal you or won't let anything hurt you. But I mean, that's not how it's supposed to work.
no,
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to throw yourself into danger so that you can then be protected. That's not. I'm not. A religious scholar or anything, but I'm pretty sure that's not how. I'm pretty sure that's not how it's supposed to work.
they take one piece of scripture, just like anybody. They take one piece of scripture, take it out of context, and
Right.
I can't remember.
Sort of
But
whole religion off of it.
it's supposed to. There's somewhere in there it says, "You shan't tempt the fate of thy God," which in other words is saying, don't put yourself in dangerous situations, because for the betterment of mankind, God is probably going to let you die, so you don't procreate if you're that stupid.
Yeah.
I saw one of those rattlesnake churches on TV not too long ago, man, where the preacher was talking and the snake reached up and bit him right in the throat, like got him right here at the freaking jugular. And the documentary ended and we didn't know if the preacher made it or not. And I did not bother to look it up to see if he lived or not, but it was one of those, boy, he had that coming type of things,
Natural selection.
Yeah.
No
That
kidding.
reminds me, do you remember that terrible Jake the Snake where he was trying to get the snake to bite him? Who was that against?
He done it with Randy Savage one.
Yeah, but they did that in
and then
WWE.
he was trying to get the poor snake to bite him and he was like
Smacking
pushing
it
it on
on
his face and stuff. That was terrible.
Mm,
Sorry, that's me bringing it back to wrestling.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
'Cause we get off on one of these little side streets and we
Mhm.
just ride.
We've done video
That's the
games.
teacher in me. Bring it back. Bring it on my shoot job. Bring it back. Bring it back.
We've done video games, what we had for Christmas dinner, religion. Let's see.
Well, it's such a fine line between wrestling like and religion like that. But
Well, you heard Chains in here a couple weeks ago say, "This is my church. Wrestling is my church." So
It is for a lot of people.
it really is. Let's see here. Trying to think of another. Let's see, West Virginia.
and speaking of Don putting my shoulder back in, I remember one time I had like 25 thumbtacks in my knee, and I couldn't pull them out, and Don pulled them all out for me because I couldn't. I could get them in and I could be in the match, but after the match, when the adrenaline was over, I couldn't make myself pull them out. And I made Don pull them out. And I don't know where Brian was,
I
but
don't either. I was probably pulling thumbtacks out of myself.
and I was like, I can't do it. And it was at Francisco. And I was like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. And he pulled them all out of my knee.
Yeah, I remember one time Daniel, we were doing thumbtacks, and some guy looked at Daniel and was like, "Those ain't real. Those thumbtacks ain't real." Daniel got one of the thumbtacks, put it on his thumb, and popped it in the side of his face, and just looked at the guy, and then went, "Ping," and flicked it out of the side of his face, and the guy was just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I guess they are real."
Yeah, they went bouncing across the floor right in front of the guy. I remember
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
I remember we used to play with thumbtacks so much that when we'd be in the armory and they'd have him cement floors, we'd sound like a tap dancing class walking to the ring. And we had to be careful because they were slick on the bottom of our boots. If we didn't get them out, you'd be walking around the ring. Next thing you know, you're sliding up because the thumbtacks.
Yeah, I had to crawl to the back one time because I had so many thumbtacks in the bottom of my boots that I could not walk. I kept sliding. So I had to just crawl on my hands and knees to the dressing room.
Wow, this is crazy. Crazy.
Things we did, man.
Would y'all like to hear a Neil Leather story?
Sure.
Why not?
All right. So remember when Judge Law first came around and he did that deal with the flaming claw where he put the lighter fluid on the back of his glove and then put the claw on somebody, and this great visual, right? Like all you saw was that fire and somebody going down screaming, right? All right. So I was hanging out with Neil one day, and he was like, man, that Judge Law, that flaming claw is really cool. And Brian, this kind of ties back into you talking about, like, you know, him taking stuff from other wrestlers, right? And he was like, I wonder if it'd be possible to do it barehanded. And I thought to myself, this is not going to end well, but I want to see it. And I was like, I don't know, man. It seems pretty dangerous, you know, putting bare flesh to flame, you know. And he's like, let me see how long it takes before it starts hurting. So he gets some Ronson lighter fluid, right? Same stuff Judge Law used, and puts it on his bare arm up to his elbow, right? Just puts it all over his hand and everything. And I remember saying to him, are you sure you want to do this? Like that. And he's like, oh, I'll stand over the sink. It'll be fine. And I said, like, yeah, maybe you go ahead and turn on the water, you know? And so he put the match to the lighter fluid, and of course his arm all the way up to his fingers, all the way to his elbow, goes up in flame. And I think it was probably about a millisecond, maybe half a second at most, before he started screaming and trying to put it out in the sink. And I just remember to this day, that's probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen anybody in wrestling ever attempt. I'm glad it wasn't in front of an audience, because if you'd have been in an armory somewhere and done something like that, there wouldn't have been no putting you out until you had 3rd-degree burns.
You have to have that jail. You would have to have that jail for that to work.
Right.
There's like a jail that you like stunt people use.
Yeah.
But even that, I think they put that on their skin, and then they put clothes on over the gel. So the gel is to cool your cool your skin, so it doesn't burn. But the clothing, I mean, you at least have to have that layer of clothing.
Something.
Right.
I've seen those, you know, those fire eater shows like at the fair and stuff, you know, where they'll take and run the flame up and down their chest. You know, they're not touching it. They're not pressing it to them. But I've seen them use that gel, you know, because I was at, what they call it, Carolina Classic Fair one time, and went to the fire eater show, but I was late getting there. So I was kind of standing off to one side of the stage, and I could see backstage. And they would come back there before they did that, and they would put the lady would put the gel all over them that you guys are talking about. But again, they were just holding the flame close to them, you know, not sticking it in, you know, putting it on their skin directly.
Right, and not actually setting the skin on fire.
No.
Oh God, he's
Oh Lord.
Good times.
Yeah.
Oh mercy. Sergeant Stryker has just entered the waiting room. Let me real quick here. Let me do the
He's
rest
got a story, probably.
Oh, I know. That's probably why he's here.
lots of stories.
But real quick, as Sergeant Stryker gets logged on, and congratulations, his Panthers won yesterday. Didn't they? Or did they lose?
Yeah. Beat Detroit.
Okay. But let me go ahead and do some sponsorship thinkings real quick here, so we can have those out of the way for the week. Branch management up first. Yes, branch management was our first sponsor. I'd like to thank them for sticking with us for so long. They are a tree service that operates in the Mount Airy, Surry County area of North Carolina. As you can see here, they can do pruning, they can do complete tree removal. You know, whatever, you know, if a tree's just getting a little too wild and you need to trim it back a little bit, they can do all that, all the way down to, you know, getting it all the way down to the ground for you. They offer very competitive rates, free estimates, and you can get a $100 referral bonus for the tree service. All you need to do is give them a call at 336-648-9282 or 336-320-8994. Again, For the tree service, 336-648-9282 or 336-320-8994. For more information or to set up an appointment, that is for the tree service. They also do landscaping, pressure washing, gutter cleaning, all that kind of stuff. That is available, but it's a different number, 336-648-2487. Landscaping, pressure washing, gutter cleaning services. How is all the things at branch management progressing along, Rick Diesel? I'm sure there's plenty of tree work out there needs to be doing.
It's a little slow right now. I mean, you know,
Because of the weather, I guess.
yeah, and Christmas. So
Well, we expect to pick back up when the warm weather comes up, but give them a call if you need tree service. Again, the tree service is 336-648-9282 or 336-320-8994. And for the general landscaping, gutter cleaning, pressure washing, that is 336-648-2487. Be sure to tell them Ringside Wrestling sent you. Tease Treats is a food truck that operates in the Mount Airy, Surry County area. Well, they operate out of the Mount Airy, Surry County area. See, that's the idea with a food truck. You can take it anywhere. And they have great food, great hot dogs, funnel cakes, the most decadent funnel cakes I've ever seen in my life. Great milkshakes, mini donuts, which are an awesome treat. Just about anything you can think of. I mean, look at that picture right there. Goodness sakes. It's absolutely decadent desserts. If you don't go into a diabetic coma, I'm telling you, it's a wonder. But the food is absolutely delicious and it's affordable. You can find out where Tease Treats is going to be by checking them out on Facebook. Just search Tease Treats, or you can give them a call at 336-755-8204. Again, 336-755-8204. Do we know if Tease Treats has got anything planned for the week between Christmas and New Year's? Are they taking some time off?
I think they're doing the High Country Lights in Galax, Virginia on Friday.
Okay.
And then Saturday they're at the show in Mount Airy.
Awesome. So we will see him at wrestling on Saturday night for sure. And at High Country Lights. High Country Lights has been getting a lot of buzz on social media. It must be a pretty big deal up there, Rick.
It's pretty cool. I was misinformed or ignorant about what it was when I first went there. But when you get there and do it the way it's supposed to be done, it's really cool. Really amazing. It's held at Phelps Park in Galax.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a Christmas light show. Lord knows I go to Clemens every year and Charlotte Motor Speedway every year. You know, I love those things. So Sergeant Stryker has joined us. For those of you on podcast who can't see, and I'm sure he's got a story he wants to share with us. So it's Christmas night. Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, what story you want to know about? I'm kind of late to the conversation here, so I'm not exactly sure what y'all been discussing. So.
We've been telling stories from back in the day. You got a good one?
Yes, I do. And I'm glad that Brian Danzig is on here.
Let's see if Brian Danzig is an accessory to a crime we're about to hear about.
Hopefully the statute of limitations is expired.
To the crime, but I think Brian helped solve the crime or dissolve the crime, so to speak.
Okay.
Fright Night, 97, 98 in Elkin.
8.
Oh, they were both in Elkin.
The infamous Daniel Mays moonsault off of the structure there, but as Luscious Kevin just got finished putting gel in his hair, coming out through the curtain, styling and profiling and being as sexy as he always was, Brian Danzig and Daniel Mays had a different story about it, standing outside the curtain with the flaming chair, hit me in the head, and then proceeds to set my head on fire. And they make sure that my head is fine.
I remember,
He's been able to grow hair right ever since.
I remember there was a time when Daniel Mays hit Steve Niles in the head with a flaming chair, and Niles' head caught on fire.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all remember that, but God, what was the dude? Brian, what's his name? Sergeant.
Sergeant Butch Steele.
Oh, WCW.
Oh, Craig Pittman.
Sergeant
Craig
Pittman.
Pittman, yes. Craig Pittman was there that night. And I heard that he would go around to other indie shows and tell people all about the guy that got his head caught on fire. He said, damnest thing I ever seen.
There's a clip, if you go on the Roku channel, I think it's at the beginning of one of the shows from 98. I can't remember if it's Capital Punishment or Seasons Beatings. The old TV show intro plays at the beginning of that. And that clip is there. You see Daniel hit him with the chair and him fall down and start rolling around the ring. And the fire just is like stop, drop, and roll did not work that night. Oh no. Well, I don't know. Steve Dale's just kind of flailing more than he was rolling, you know.
And that stuck with Craig Pittman to the point that he went around the circuit telling people about that kid's head getting caught on fire.
Oh mercy.
Yeah, and I remember like we would go up to Tennessee and the guys would be like, oh, you're the guy that did the moonsault off the light show. I'm like, well, no, that was my partner. It's like, Ricky, they're talking about Ricky Morton. And like, Ricky Morton cannot stop talking about that. Every locker room he's in, he tells the story about the guy who did the moonsault off the top of the light show. And the thing about that is, I mean, it would have been dangerous enough as it was, because he was supposed to do that to me through a table. Well, the table collapsed, so he did it from the lighting rig. Did the moonsault onto the floor.
Yep.
So
if you watch that video, you can hear his legs slap that floor like a rifle shot.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to know why Daniel Mays retired early, I think that pretty
Yeah.
much says it. He was fearless.
Yeah, he was.
He was fearless and nicest guy. Don Carson used to say that Daniel Mays was the only, he had to sleep more than every other human being. Like Don Carson said that, you know, a normal person has to sleep, you know, between 7 and 9 hours a day. He said if Daniel Mays did not sleep 19 to 20 hours a day, he could not function. That's what he used to tell me about. And I never knew if that was based in any kind of fact whatsoever. Daniel liked to sleep a lot, but the way Don told it just made it so funny that even if it wasn't true, he didn't care because it was still
right.
funny. You know.
Yeah, it might have been a slight exaggeration, but yeah, he did like to sleep.
Oh mercy! All right.
I have a funny Daniel story that I wasn't there. He told me about it. Do you guys remember Jacob? He was a ref for a while.
Oh
and
yeah, Private Jacob.
Private Jacob.
And then he was referee Jacob. Well, he was riding. Daniel was driving one of the trucks to. It was to Smith Grove, and Jacob was riding with him, and just randomly, there's this field that you go by to the community center we were going to that had a Confederate flag flying in the middle of the field. Well, we go by, they go by it, and Daniel was telling me about this when we got there. He was like, and Jacob just started going, he started saying, yes, there it is. There it is. There's where we won the Declaration of Independence. And I was like, what did you say when he said that? He was like, I was just shocked. And he was like, I don't know if that's it or not. Because it's like there were just one sentence that so many things wrong with one sentence.
That's where we won the Declaration of Independence.
There it is. There's where we won the Declaration of Independence.
God bless road stories. Thank you, Jesus.
Oh Lord, man, that's a good one right there.
Oh my God.
I remember on one of those West Virginia trips, man, I was following Denise Holiday and I think Tristan, maybe Allison, and maybe all of your kids were with me, Rick. I don't know. But we were going up the highway, right? And it was remember Denise and Bill had that big blue car in the late 90s. I can't remember what it was.
Mhm.
But just like out of like a comic book or something, this flock of birds for some reason comes flying across the interstate right in front of Denise's car. I mean, there's no way she can miss them, right? You know, and they fly right in front of it. And I'll never forget, out of the bottom of that car comes this, it looked like a feather pillow had exploded behind Denise's car. And I remember looking at the girls and being like, did y'all see that? Because nobody's gonna believe it. You know, and they didn't. You know.
Oh my
But
God.
Yeah, I also remember after that show, we were like, man, I'm hungry. Let's go find something to eat. And Denise is like, you're not going to find anything. There's nothing open now. It's after dark in West Virginia here. You're not going to find anything.
Mm.
And we are like, no, come on. There has to be like a convenience store or something. We get some honey buns or something. And I was like, Daniel, you going to go with us? And it's like, no, just here's some money. Just give me a little something. I'm like, well, I'll see what I can do, Daniel, but I'm just going to get some food. But but no, and sure enough, we drove around and it was just complete darkness, nothing. I mean, not even a closed store. That was just nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were just like, what the hell? I mean, I'm like, we're from Mount Airy. It's not like we're from the big city. Like even there's like, you know, you can find something open, but
Yeah.
no, there was nothing. It was just the middle of nowhere.
It's crazy, man. You would have, like, for those of you who are watching and listening, we would, like, if we went to War, West Virginia, you would get off I-77. I can't remember what exit.
Bluefield.
It
Yeah,
was the
Bluefield,
Bluefield
yeah.
exit, but you had to go drive like an hour and a half after you got off the interstate just to get to these places. And they weren't no nice roads either. They were windy, like 1.5 lane roads that just weave through the mountain. You guys that drove that ring truck, balls of steel. There is no way I would have ever done that, because one misstep and you go down the cliff like Wile E. Coyote, man. You're just done.
And that's the reason Rick was getting chased by body count for having that fried chicken.
Yeah.
Everybody was hungry after the show. We're used to being able to go get something afterwards, and there was nothing.
Mhm.
Somebody heard that big guy heard rumor there was some fried chicken on that floor, and he was going to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't find food, and you had to go all the way back to the interstate and then get on the interstate and go a few more exits down before you could even
Right.
find it.
Yeah, it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it.
Every stereotype that you hear about West Virginia, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rugged country, man. You know.
Mhm. Well, but then you would go by, like we went by, I think we went by Charleston, and it was like beautiful, and had like these buildings that looked like old Russian architecture.
Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, it's just like any state, you know, there's, you know, the metropolitan areas are usually pretty, you know, very nice. But yeah, their rural area that's not kidding around. It was very rural.
It's as scary as like the Arizona desert at night, just in a different way. There's
And it's
just
very
nothing.
dark there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing there.
that's what freaked me out too.
Yeah, it's like they turned what few street lights they had, they turned them off too, I guess, to conserve energy, because the next truck full of electricity didn't come in till the next morning.
But I remember we went to Bradshaw, and Terminator X was like, I've never seen people just throw their bags of trash in the river. And it was just like, he was just shocked. And
Yeah.
he's from damn, where the hell's he from? Not even from Martinsville. Where is he from?
Bassett, Bowens Creek is specifically.
Creek.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, you know, we just, I don't know. I think that he grew up close to Philpott Lake, which is controlled by the federal government, and littering into a water supply is, you know, a sign that you would see living in that area constantly every day of your existence. And so I know because I lived there for many, many years. I grew up in Martinsville and lived with my mother and stepfather up there in Bassett for many years. Yeah, if you went and spent any time at the lake, it was beat into your head. You do not soil a water supply. So I was shocked too. It was crazy. Just like seeing that horse tied to that trailer. You'd see, I even remember seeing a car down in one of the rivers.
Well, you also remember too, they had them sketchy PVC pipes that would come out from under the houses and stick outside the river banks.
Because I think they told us not to drink the water.
Yeah.
I think when we went there, they said, don't drink the water.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I got to wash this paint off my face. Can I wash my face? Can I wash my face with this water?
I wouldn't advise it. I got sick. Look, the first year, Billy and I drank from a water fountain there in the gym. And Billy looked at me after he took his drink. He was like, do you taste metal in that? And I was like, yes, I do. And both of us got sick the following week. So we thought we were going to play it smart. We would not drink any water the next time we went up there. Well, it turns out that if you drink a soda or a beer that's in an aluminum can that's been chilled in the ice made with that water, you get the same effect. So,
wow.
Yeah, I even got, we went to the bar after the show and I had 2 or 3 cans of beer. They were in a can. The bartender handed me the can. I opened it myself. I wiped the top off with a napkin, opened it myself, still got sick the following week after we got back from there.
And yet again, I miss it dearly. Shows up there. I love that place.
You always came back with some stories, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Good stories.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's something that the guys that are in the ring now, just you need to really cherish this moment because it's there's going to be a time when you're not going to be able to do it anymore, and no matter how long you did it, it's not enough. You think, oh, I'm going to do it for 5, 10, 15 years and I'll be done. Like, no, it never gets out of your system, and you still want to do it. I remember I was coming home from a show in Virginia. It was like at a produce stand. And
P&B Produce.
Yeah,
P&B
it
Produce,
was great.
Collinsville.
It was an amazing show. Ricky was there. Ricky Morton was there, and it was an awesome crowd. They loved it. They were really into it, and I just remember Daniel was driving. He was bringing me home, and I was pulling into the driveway, and I was just still had that adrenaline high from an amazing show, and then it just hit me. I was like, this isn't going to last forever. I'm not going to be able to do this forever. And I started kind of getting down, but then I was like, well, no, don't be down because you can't do it forever. Just remember you're not going to be able to do it forever, and savor it while you're doing it. Appreciate it while you're there. And ever since that night, that's what I did. Just go out there like this is your last match, because it could be your last match.
Yeah.
It just even if you're just getting started, just remember that one day it's going to be over, and you're going to want to get back in there, and you're just not going to be able to.
Yeah, we keep telling ourselves that 31 years later.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Still make the road trips up to Mount Airy. So
Yeah.
That produce show was the first show I ever went to. That was the first show that me and my friends went to. And we, Ricky Morton was running his gimmick table with a bunch of kids. And he's like, hey, can you watch these kids for me for a minute? And then he went and did his match while he sat his kids beside of us, 3 random 20-year-old girls that were just fans. And we sat there and watched a baby in a car seat.
And it was probably Axton, who's traveling the world now.
That's sort of
Carrie,
that's
it probably was Carrie.
Probably was.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
Carrie.
the,
I got them mixed up. Carrie,
Wrong,
yeah,
yeah.
NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah,
That's
it
it.
probably
I got him
was.
mixed up. I'm
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
but that
speaking
was
of that Collinsville, I mean that produce stand show. What, Scoop? I'm trying to talk, buddy. Got me a new puppy.
Oh.
But that was also another match in which my DNA got left behind somewhere that involved Terminator X. I'm pretty sure if Rick Diesel still had his tan and brown pickup truck somewhere or another, there'd probably be some of my bone or skin or something or other on the back of that tailgate where TX.
We talked about that one time where your head got stuck to the tailgate.
Yeah. That was at the produce stand.
that was a memorable night.
Also, of course, Bassett High School against TX. I left my DNA up in the rafters.
Well, I think I was at the community center, but
Who wished he would say something other than left my DNA?
I know, because when he first said that, I'm like, Kevin.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been a lot of
Family show.
DNA left
Well,
in old
there's
indie
different
wrestling
ways to-
shows, but he's talking about something different.
Yeah.
Different ways to leave your DNA.
Talking about
it was like something that happened in the parking lot after the show or during intermission. Well, let's just say I left my DNA with her.
Yeah, Woo! Let's clear that up.
yeah, definitely.
But you know what was the P&B produce show? I had no idea how successful that was going to be because Paul was just a wrestling fan. I had known Paul from working at the bowling alley when I was 14 years old. He had actually trained me to operate the pin setting machines. They set the pins, obviously. But so I'd known Paul for a long time, and so when I got into wrestling and everything, we had talked about watch wrestling together when we worked at the bowling alley, but I had no idea he was such a big fan that he'd be willing to put on a show. And I remember all the changes he did to the building so that he put a big tarp up so you wouldn't be able to see the show from the road. He did a lot to promote that show and everything. We only did the one show there. So I don't know why we didn't go back. Maybe because it was outdoors and the weather in the summertime's unpredictable. I don't know, but a lot of people still look back fondly on that night. It was wild.
It's very rare to have a parking lot show that goes well. Normally you say parking lot showing and the guys start groaning. Oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's more of a promotional thing, and people coming to the store and then happen to run into a wrestling show that's happening in the parking lot. This was a show that was promoted, come here this night and there will be wrestling, and and there was a bunch of wrestling fans there and they were very, very into it, and it ended up being a really good show.
Well, we had TV up there at the time. I mean,
Right,
we were in our
so
homes every
those
week.
things.
So, and let me see, I remember another parking lot show we had that was exactly what you said, Brian. It was to promote another show at the Armory or at Veterans Park. But we did it at the Mayberry Mall. Do y'all remember that? The one actually in front where Daniel Mays, there's a clip of him doing that flip off coming over the top rope and landing
Backdrop over the top rope to the pavement.
Yes. Oh my God, man. And remember all the people that showed up to that? I mean, we started and there's like maybe 15, 20 people there. But if you watch that tape, and hopefully it's not been lost to history, but people could see the ring from the highway and they just keep coming in and they just keep coming in and they kept getting, you just see that sea of people get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in the background. It was absolutely incredible. I remember by the end of that, I remember looking at Billy going, God almighty, can you believe all the people that showed up? He was like, man, if we get half this at the Armory, we'd be doing great. Oh man. So it's been a lot of fun telling stories with you guys. We do need to promote our big show coming up. Speaking of which, let's sell some tickets while we're here. Might as well, right? Let's see. Oh, can I get it to share? All right. Can y'all see the slideshow now?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. No.
Seeing no slideshow.
That's because I didn't hit the share button. That would probably help, right? How
There
about
it is.
now?
There you go.
All right, so here we've been talking about it. Special bell time, 5 p.m. this Saturday night, New Year's Eve, Seasons Beatings 2022 edition, but this is our 26th year, according to that poster. The match that's got a lot of people talking. The ladder match. I've never seen a women's ladder match, guys. This is a dangerous situation, and I don't think Jada Stone is going to be holding back this time like she was in the submission match.
I'm telling you right now, if the match right here is anything like Fright Night, oh my goodness. Or not Fright Night, whatever night it was, those two wrestled each other, but had the hell of a show. You're going to be in for a special treat seeing round 2 of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
Brian
'cause you're gonna
Danzig,
get
your
that.
thoughts?
Yeah, because you're going to get that, and you're going to add a ladder into the mix, which is going to make it even more dangerous.
When I see ladder matches, it makes me glad I never wrestled, that I kept my ass behind the microphone. Now, I don't think that there's much more than you can do, maybe landing on thumbtacks or going through glass, that hurts as much as falling onto a ladder or off a ladder. Brian, you've had about every kind of match there is out there.
Oh yeah, I've broken a ladder with my body. I've been thrown into a ladder, a fiberglass ladder, and have it broken before. Yeah, they're very dangerous. I will tell you, whenever I climb a ladder now, it just doesn't feel right to climb up a ladder and then just climb down. It's such an odd feeling to just climb down from a ladder, not getting pushed off of it or jumping off of it, but it just doesn't feel right.
Brian, are you telling us that you get PTSD for changing the air filter for your HVAC system in your house?
Well, yeah, it's more just the once I'm up there, I'm just waiting to fall off of it. I guess I have to climb down. I'm not used to doing that.
there's nobody that needs an elbow dropped on them down there.
Brian changed the light bulb, whole living room clears out.
Y'all get back. Daddy's on the ladder.
That's a kid for though.
That's right.
Practice on them, right? But yeah, I tell you what, one thing that I've been proud of, I don't know if you guys have been proud of, but since this women's championship has come into existence, especially since Clara's had it, we don't really have like girls that want to cosplay and dress up in costumes come here and tangle with Clara. You got to want to be in a damn fight. And
Exactly.
and I love that for the women's division, and these two girls will bring a fight. So if you're looking to see a fight between two girls, you're going to get it in this ladder match. It's going to be rough. It's going to be wild. And I cannot encourage you enough to be there. This is going to be absolutely spectacular, but that's only one match. We got a lot more to be announced this week, but one other one that we do know of is what Justin Flash made the challenge on this program a few weeks ago. And the match has been made. He's going to go and challenge Jay Malachi for the cruiserweight title. Experience versus young youth and impetuousness, I think is the right word I'm looking for. I don't know. Nobody check me. But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting match. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, and if you want to get a good idea of what Justin Flash is capable of, go to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Don't you have Flash and Cedric up?
Yes, I do. It went up last night. Justin Flash and Cedric Alexander, who is now with the WWE. Justin Flash, and he had a bad attitude that night. He was in a bad guy role that night against Cedric, but it didn't hurt the match none, that's for sure. It was a hell of a match, and I encourage you to go check it out. Yeah, we just uploaded it yesterday, 9 minutes and 20 seconds. So go to the Ringside Wrestling channel, look for Cedric Alexander versus Justin Flash, Crazy 8 tournament. It's there. So I think we'll probably see some action similar to that, really fast paced. I don't want to say it'll be a high flying match. Both the guys can do high flying, but that's not their entire repertoire. But which wins out, youth or experience? We're going to find out Saturday night. Again, special bell time, 5 o'clock. We also have a match, although I do not have the poster for it. Smiling Diamond Dave is going to choose a representative. Kevin Phoenix Cochran III is going to choose a reference. I can't believe I memorized that. All right. All that partying I did in my 20s, and I can still memorize stuff from time to time. I don't have to write everything down.
Well, and now Kevin Phoenix Cochran's got some money behind him, so he can be bringing anybody in.
Yeah, he's going more obnoxious than ever now. But so he could bring anybody in. We don't know who's going to represent who. We might not find out till Saturday night. If we do find out before then, we will let you know across social media platforms. But as of right now, we don't know. And there are still other matches I know that they just need to dot the I's and cross the T on. Can't give them away until the official announcement is made. But my friends, this card is loaded.
Also, Gorilla Q and Matt Anderson, former tag team champions, are facing off with each other, against each other for the TV title that night.
A lot of bad blood in that match right there. Both of them look at it. I mean, let's just be honest. Both of them think the other one cost them the tag team title. You know, they were kind of a hodgepodge team thrown together in a kind of a random match. You know, they came out victorious. They held on to the titles longer than any of us, I think, that have been around a long time thought that they would, just because they were not an established tag team. But just when you thought that they were getting on a roll, they ran into the Fighters Club and everything went downhill after that. And now these two are really disgusted with each other. I think it's about the nicest way I can put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Be interesting to see how that goes. Gorilla Q's held gold in the Mid-Atlantic before, so Matt Anderson, I know, just won that TV title, but it's not safe, not by a long shot. So that's a pick 'em match right there. Really, I mean, with the experience, skill level, I don't know. Matt Anderson, I don't know who's been in the business longer. I know Matt's been around
Matt
a while.
Anderson has,
Yeah. So he might have a slight edge on experience, but we will see come Saturday night. Remember, special start time, 5 p.m. We'll get you out of there in time to do your New Year's Eve parties and all that kind of stuff. So do not worry about us interfering with your New Year's Eve plans. We're not going to get in any way in between you and the drunken mayhem you have in store for your friends and family on New Year's Eve. Or whatever.
And not to mention that if you want to go out and spend a lot of money partying or whatever, coming to the wrestling show, we're not going to break your pocketbook either, because it's $5 floor seats, $3 bleachers.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it. There's no other indies with prices this low. None, zero.
Unless they're in somebody's backyard, you know what I'm saying?
But, not
an established group, and we do it through the winter to tell our fans how much we appreciate it.
Even those guys will overcharge for for a backyard show.
Boy, I've seen some real unflattering pictures floating around on social media the last few weeks of shows like that. Oh my goodness. Folks, just don't put up a ring in your backyard. It just don't. No. Unless you're using it, unless you're a wrestler and you've got a cover for it and you're using it to like exercise in and practice, don't run backyard shows. That was cool for like 3 months in 1997, just for some home videos that came out of, Pod Enthusiast magazines. No, don't do that. Not a good look.
Don't use your income taxes to buy a ring.
Oh God!
As another joke from Change.
At least save a little bit. At least use the state tax to. At least use your state tax return to rent a building. Use your federal to buy the ring. Use your state to rent the building. At least
it's just we keep coming back. Like Change said, it's Tennessee wrestling. So anybody with a lot of kids, when they get their tax refund check, you know, all of a sudden you got a new promotion starting up. That's not exclusive to East Tennessee. It happens here in North
No.
Carolina too.
No, it's not.
Well, remember the one that went around a few years ago with the guy standing behind the tree like this, and it said, wrestling promoters getting ready to call the Rock and Roll Express after they get their tax refund check. That would crack me up too. All right, guys, we've been on here for quite a while. Any final thoughts? Any other stories that you want to get out before we close out this week's edition?
Oh, Mandy Rose made $500,000.
She did. I heard that. Her agent's an idiot. I don't know why you would go getting the IRS's attention like that. And I mean, you know, well,
just a follow up.
Yeah, they were saying they think she's going to hit a cool $1 million by the end of the year. My thing is, though, all right, say you and this guy get married, you and this guy have children. 10, 12 years from now, those kids are going to be in middle school. And we know what shitheads kids can be at that age and how mean they can be. So what is going to happen when they run across those videos? Because that it will happen.
Behind the paywall and on Reddit.
Well, you know, I would say if they do their finances right and use that money, invest it, then they'll be going to private school, who's and other kids who have money and don't really question how their parents make their money. So who knows?
Who knows?
Well, they are wrestlers' kids, so their answer will probably be, "You're just jealous because your mom's ugly."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could always use that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah.
You're just mad because people would pay to see my mom naked.
Yeah, and you're on food stamps.
They would pay your mom to put her clothes back on.
Yeah.
They'll
mercy.
be taught all the proper comebacks.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, Mandy's been in wrestling long enough. She's a fairly good talker. I'm sure she'll get her kids to where they can cut promos pretty good. But you know, that's going to still be a hard conversation. Now, kids, you're going into the 5th grade this year, and we know how bullying is. So, mommy and daddy need to tell you about something that happened back in 2022. The kids will call the color out of their face. But anyway, I'm sorry. It's just something I thought about.
mean, there's
No, I just thought about it. How do you explain that to the kids later on as a parent? I don't know. I don't have children, so I don't know how you had to have that conversation, but you're going to have to at some point. Silence. Nobody knows. Good luck, Mandy.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to explain it, but just you say you like that PS5 you got? You like that? You like
Well,
that?
by then it might be a PS15.
Probably, yeah.
You like all that stuff I bought you? That's what paid for it. So you can handle a little ribbing from your classmates if you can. You can enjoy the fruits of the of my labor.
It's not like she's on my 600-pound life. I mean, she's an attractive woman on, you know, I mean, it's, you know.
It does make a difference, you know, what kind of TV show you're on, you know.
Hey, it's like I've always said, they got this, I think it's when I watch Hulu and they do the commercials, they got this anxiety medicine for women. It's called Hers. And I'm like, well, you don't never see any Victoria's Secret supermodels doing anxiety medicine commercials. Well, I'm doing my depression medicine. That's what it is. Depression medicine commercials. Yeah, you know, it's always somebody you like make you jump back a little bit.
Please send your hate mail to Rick Diesel.
Yeah, Diesel 24/7 on Twitter, Instagram too.
I mean, you know.
Well, I mean, there are Carolina cat fights out there that are still floating around that children have not seen of parents.
Yeah,
of
well, that was
certain people.
that was
Hey,
pretty
if
well
I could
guarded.
find them, I'd be proud of them. I was there.
Yeah,
I met a very,
I'm
very,
glad you came.
I got a couple of very nice girls there. One in particular, but yeah, that was something. I don't even know how.
Mhm.
No, that was the best of times.
My neck hurts.
Bad Brad, I'm surprised he was able to have children, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, no kid.
I'm
But
glad.
he
I
wore a
wasn't-
mask through that whole thing, so he has what is they call it, plausible deniability.
Well, he
Yeah.
did. He did until this
Ability,
show. He did until this show. Yeah. But
They said that was you, Dad. No, no,
No,
no.
no, no.
no. Oh, mercy. All right. Well, Blake, if you're out there, I hope you're well. But anyway, so I guess that's going to wrap it
And I
up.
hope the guy survived the beatings that the chick gave him with the whip.
The
What do they
Gollum
call
guy.
it, Gollum?
Yes, that poor guy. Oh my gosh.
Poor fella. God,
Oh
he
my
got
God,
beat.
Gollum?
You
The guy that they
remember
call
him?
Gollum?
Yeah. Was you there the night that the chick beat him with the whip?
I was there the night they beat him with the fists.
There was one girl that beat him with a whip, and he paid her to do it. And
He
she
paid her
beat
to do
him.
it?
I had to walk out of the room. It was so, it was bad.
I'm glad I didn't.
Whipped him and whipped him.
I'm glad I wasn't there that night. Oh mercy. Yeah,
Ugh.
that sounds awful.
That's yeah.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
either.
all I can say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
And,
mean,
and for
yeah.
anybody that I drug into that, because I was the one that I was the first one, and I kind of drug everybody else with me.
Yeah.
I apologize if it was not a I don't know, interesting
Camera's off
experience
again.
for you at least. So
It
No.
was a very
Myrtle Beach go up there, they didn't know what to think.
Blake and his wife were really nice. There was a gal named Kim that was there that was really nice, that would bring her little sister sometime. A couple of them weren't that nice, but most of the people that were there were really nice. Although some strange birds, some of them.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the most interesting things I've ever been around.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I'm definitely glad I got to be a part of that. It was very interesting times.
You know
Oh.
you're in for a good time when they put a chain and a padlock on the door from the inside.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah.
It's not illegal, but we don't want the cops coming in and we have to stop filming. So we're
Right,
gonna put a
Right.
chain
So by
on
the time they
door.
get through the chain door, we can at least rearrange a few things.
at least we'll have yell cut on the video, right?
Yeah.
One of the coolest things about that, and here's a complete nerd in me, but you know, most of those things Blake sold overseas, right? And so he had all the
Mhm.
equipment and I don't know if you remember it, but he had all that equipment there to convert it from American systems to Saudi Arabia, because they use
Mhm.
different power sources, different kinds of power than we do in these different countries. And he could convert it to make it compatible with any machine in any region of the world. The customer just had to tell him, you know, hey, I need it on a
Mhm.
disc that'll play here. And he could do it. It was amazing, you know, the equipment.
Well, I know that they referred to the video that we mentioned earlier with the mask. They referred to it in Europe as testicular manipulation.
Oh, I'm so glad I was not there for that. Oh, mercy.
That's what testicular manipulation video is what it was referred to online.
Oh, mercy.
It was a 30-minute manipulation video too.
Mhm.
Manipulation.
Manipulated, all right.
Yeah, that's another one I
Yeah.
had to leave the room for.
Yeah.
That was painful just to watch.
Who was his opponent that night? Do you remember which girl it was?
I can't remember, but she was
It
brutal.
wasn't the Asian girl?
No, I think it was the really tall woman.
The
And I
Indian
cannot
lady.
remember her.
The lady that
No.
was Native American, was it her?
I remember her.
Yeah. I cannot remember her name.
I only remember one girl's name, and that was Jamie.
I,
And she,
I remember leaving the room, but could still hear the screams.
Yeah, because if you didn't want to watch, you could go into another room. There was plenty of places.
Yeah,
to-
there was plenty of room down there, but you could still hear the screams.
yeah, you could still
Yeah.
hear the screams.
This is
Yeah.
hard.
On a lot of those real brutal ones, though, I'd made friends with that girl Kim there, and we would talk about basketball. And so sometimes, if somebody was getting their nuts just stepped on and ground into the ground or whatever, walk out of there and be like, "Hey, did you see the Duke game the other night?" Yeah. Gotta guard ourselves from the trauma, man.
See, these guys in wrestling nowadays, they have no idea what it used to be like.
No.
The underground, the dark side. But we've all been there.
Yeah.
You sure have.
Yep, and then just
With
so you
Missed It
know,
for the World.
yeah, there
I
was.
don't remember which one it was that I wrestled that one night, but my God, I thought she's going to freaking choke me out, suffocate me, or break my neck. One of the two when she had me in a freaking head scissors.
Yeah, I know. It's like you think you're going to enjoy rolling around with these women wearing these tiny bikinis, and you do at first, but then they start punching you in the kidneys and clawing your stomach, and it's like, oh yeah, this stopped being fun.
Yeah, then the
About
beating
now.
starts.
Yeah.
Oh no, coach!
Ooh.
I'll take it out, coach.
Who
Oh,
knew-
God.
who knew Thomasville could be so exciting, right?
Oh, it was, boy.
Yes, it was.
But obviously, the people of Thomasville didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, no.
Whatever. I mean, they just stopped doing that at some point, right? I mean,
Yeah.
do you know whatever became of?
I have no idea. I've
Like-
tried to find out. I haven't been able to find nobody. The only thing I can think of is that they got crushed under the weight of Pornhub.
yeah, because it became free.
Yeah.
Once the internet really took off, it all
and
became
this
free.
wasn't. Yeah,
I
and
mean-
this was not porn. Let's just be.
No,
No,
well,
no, no, this was not. This was just.
No.
This was just a cat fight.
Yeah.
It was cat fights and apartment wrestling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Which
the
was
old
big in the
school-
70s.
Yeah.
That wrestling magazines actually covered it in the 70s.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Blake
so,
told me.
this is like apartment wrestling before anybody takes where.
Because when the first time I met the guy, I was standing there with him while he was, he was showing me all that equipment, and I was like, "People really buy this shit?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, man." He said, "If there is, I'll never forget these words, man. If there is any kind of fetish out there that your imagination can desire or think of, there is a market for it on video." And I was just like, "So people like to see girls beat up dudes?" And he was like, "Yeah, they sure do." And he smiled, and I was just like,
And there was
Wow.
guys that like to get beat up because they paid well to come in and have them girls whip their
"See,
ass.
I did not know that. I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought they paid the
Yeah,
guys
there was
just
this one. Yeah, that was the part. That
You know, what I drug Brian and them to, Brian and them actually got paid for that.
Right.
But there
Yeah,
was
there
guys
we go.
that would come in and pay those girls to beat their ass for 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, because those were long matches. That did go on for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Oh mercy. All right. Well,
Off the rails we went again.
Yep.
that
but
was
this
kind
was still
Right at the
wrestling. It
end.
was still wrestling.
Yeah, it was
still
wrestling.
Yeah, it was still
Mhm.
wrestling. All right.
Yes.
So the good
it was just
memories of
apartment wrestling and cat fighting.
Carolina Cat
Hey, don't
Fight.
forget, folks, if you're out there and you're listening to this or watching this and you want us to tell more stories or bring other people on here to tell stories about whatever we do in wrestling back in the day, let us know. Let Matt know.
Mhm,
'Cause there's a
yeah.
lot of guys out there with a lot of stories.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of stories. Yeah, I have so many that I didn't tell just because, I mean, if I told a quarter of them, we'd be here all night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And we're over 2 hours right now on this show.
Yeah.
which is gonna take us to our limit on Buzzsprout this week. So for those of you listening on podcast platforms, we'll see you in February. But no, it'll probably be middle of January. But no, Absolutely fantastic conversation. I knew doing a Christmas show would be good, but you know, one thing that I did not get to that I've got to do at least one of, we did not read any classic wrestling Christmas show cards. So if you guys, if somebody could pick me a year between 1980 and 1988, I will tell you the card that went on Christmas night on that particular year in Jim Crockett Promotions. Pick a year.
87.
87.
Sorry.
87.
So we'll go with 87. That was a good year.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Just a second. Well, I'm going to be so mad if I turn in here and Mark James did not have the results. Oh, shit. Okay, well, look, there was 1, 2, 3 shows ran on Christmas in the 87. Greenville, South Carolina Memorial Auditorium, $20,000, 25 man bunkhouse stampede won by the Barbarian. Nelson Royal drew Kendall Windham. Ricky Santana beat Thunderfoot #1. Mike Rotundo beat Italian Stallion. Shaska Watley beat Rocky King. Lightning Express beat the Barbarian and John King. There was also a show in Atlanta that night. Says here Lex Luger won a bunkhouse stampede battle royal. And then also one in Charlotte that same day. And it just lists bunkhouse stampede battle royal. It doesn't have any other results, but 3 shows in the same day on Christmas, you know, and I'm sure they did. I know they did good in Charlotte and Greenville. They always did. The Omni was down by that time, but yeah, it's definitely very interesting there. Christmas wrestling used to be really big in the territory days. I forgot to bring my Mid-South book in here. We could have done another, looked at different parts of the country because they used to do Superdome shows on Christmas, but down there. Any other year you'd like to hear real quick? Everybody's done, tired.
84.
84? 84 Christmas show. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. We got some good, we got a full card here. December 25th, 84, Charlotte, North Carolina. Evidently it's TV taping at the Charlotte Coliseum. Steve Casey, listen to this lineup. Steve Casey beat Joel Deaton. American Starship beat the Infernos. That was Danny Spivey and Scott Hall. Denny Brown beat Tommy Lane. Billy Graham beat Brian Adidas. Magnum TA beat Super Destroyer. Magnum had just come into the territory from Mid-South at that point. Nikita Koloff drew Manny Fernandez. Assassin #1 beat Kareem Muhammad. That was a feud with Paul Jones involved there. Buzz Tyler beat Inferno #1. The Barbarian beat Sam Houston. I bet he did. Magnum TA wrestled again. He beat Ben Alexander. Steve Casey beat Gary Royal. Dusty Rhodes, Dick Slater, and Ricky Steamboat beat Tully Blanchard, Ron Bass, and Black Bart in a bunkhouse match. I bet that was a fun match. And Don Kernoodle.
Our cat's named Tully.
Last match was Don Kernoodle. Don Kernoodle beat Ivan Koloff, and they were in that feud because the Koloffs had turned on Kernoodle when they lost the World Tag Team title. Kernoodle and Ivan Koloff, and they had almost broke his neck. So, yeah, Christmas wrestling shows used to be the thing, man. That's for sure. That's why I wanted to do this one tonight. So, anyway, it's hard to explain. People don't know, man, when you only had 3 channels on TV.
Yeah.
That was the reason why I wanted to do 84, because that was one of the first wrestling shows that my mom ever took me to, was down in Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
And I remember that one.
Yeah, man. That's fun. There's some good feuds going on at that time. And Dusty Rhodes was just starting to get the territory turned around where it was drawing good money at that point and getting really hot. All right.
Yep.
So I think that's going to about wrap it up for our Christmas special. Thank you guys for coming on. You know, I know with the holiday, we did all our celebrating earlier, so that was good to go for tonight. But thank you guys all for joining us. Do you have any final thoughts before we hit the road?
That was the reason why I was late getting on. I was finishing up my Christmas stuff, but I just want to take time to wish everybody everybody out there a very Merry Christmas and a very blessed and prosperous New Year coming up in 2024 or 2023, and we cannot wait to see you New Year's Eve out at Veterans Park for Seasons Beatings.
I've talked for 2 hours, man. I can't say no more.
Yeah,
I'm done too.
I'm talked out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's have
Merry
a good-
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you next week on AIWF Ringside Wrestling. We'll see you at the show on New Year's Eve. For Sergeant Kevin Stryker, Brian Danzig, Commissioner Rick Diesel, I am Mad Matt Carter saying good night, everybody. So long. And until next time, so long for now.